The Minnesota Wild just teased something terrifying. After their most recent game against the New York Rangers, we saw really what Danila Yurov is made of and what he's going to do for this Minnesota Wild team going forward. We're going to be breaking that down as well as going over a major move that the Minnesota Wild have made, recalling Hunter Haight after a brutal injury update to Marco Rossi. We have a lot to break down here today, ladies and gentlemen. Before we do jump into this video, though, I want to ask you quickly to make sure that you have hit the sub button. If you haven't already, be sure to do so. We're getting Wild videos every single day. You won't want to miss it here on the channel. We have a lot of stuff coming, especially with a very interesting look from this team over the recent games, and we're going to break down all the stuff here on the channel. But let's jump straight into it. I first want to go over the game a little bit, mainly talking about Danila Yurov. And as we say right here, and I'll pull this up on the big one, as we're looking at the hockey stat card right now, a whole lot of positive. The Brock Faber haters were very quiet during this game. He had a very, very good game. Big bounce back game after a few struggling games, but that's something that will come along at the early part of the season. Let's remember, we're still only a couple games in. This Wild team still trying to figure some stuff out, especially at the 5-on-5, but this team looked very, very good this game. And like I said, really, the big one, Danila Yurov getting his first NHL goal. Beautiful, beautiful goal. And of course, coming into this game, we wanted to see Danila Yurov really set the pace. And we noticed the New York Rangers, not really the greatest team so far this season, could not score at home. Got their first goal at home, actually, against the Wild to start the game off. Wasn't necessarily the greatest kind of, spark in my mind when I saw that. However, we saw this Wild team bounce back and really show what this team is made of. And of course, the New York Rangers team, which not necessarily the greatest team in the NHL, but they have a very good roster, playing against some very good players and a very good goalie. They showed that this team is ready to go in all scenarios, and at this point right now, I think it's a good start to turn things in the right direction. Now, among this as well, you see Ben Jones in there, and of course that is due to Marco Rossi not playing in this game, which we're going to break down here in a few moments, so stick around for that. But as well, one thing I wanted to point out was Zeev Boyan and Jared Spurgeon on the bottom pairing once again. That is something that we want to clear up, get out of the way quickly, because as we know, we see a lot of positive in Zeev. He's been very good this season in some instances, but some instances like this as well, not the greatest. So I think that's something I want to keep an eye on and want you guys to keep an eye on as well, as we do get closer and closer to, the beginning of November and kind of this early November, December part where we really start to see a few things change across the NHL regarding moves and a few trades to kind of add or change up things for teams that are looking to get into, a very positive direction. So keep that in mind. But kind of continuing on with this as well. I mean, the box score, I want to pull this up very quickly as well. You see, looking at, where we're kind of seeing a few different line changes here. An assist from Hartman. Boldy, of course, starting up that line. The empty net goal from Kirill Kaprizov, Danila Yurov scoring. A very good split of offense around this team. And I think something that we want to see going forward. The offense on 5-on-5, you want to see get the pace picked up, and good start here. Need to continue that, though, and I feel like that means everybody on the offense, not just the top 6, not just the bottom 6, not just top 9. Everybody, offense, defense, needs to get going on this and continue on with the power play, but also up that offense. And this game as well was a good one from the Wild, continuing to own the shots. We saw a little bit of a different situation here a couple games ago where 50 whatever shots it was, like 52 or 54, still losing the game, but having this control of shots, the offense, still a good sign. And continuing on with that, kept the discipline good on the hits, and I think that's one thing going forward this Wild team is going to need to continue. So very positive signs there, as well as in the goal as well. Saw this game, Filip Gustavsson play a good game, play a very solid game actually, in fact, and even though his stats this season are not necessarily great just yet, keep in mind, we're only 7 games into the season. I believe it's 1 or 2 from Jesper Wallstedt. I can't remember the exact amount at this very moment, but you can see a 2 and 3. 2 from Jesper Wallstedt there, indeed. And coming into this game as well, we want to see him play a very good game against a very good Rangers team. We saw that, and I mean, going over the last games, 5 goals, 7 goals, but big wins there. None in the shutout against the St. Louis Blues. The Rangers, 3, 1 goal allowed. Very good sign, so still early. Don't go too hard. Don't think too deep into this Filip Gustavsson. I guess, not greatest start because he's been good in games that they win, and I mean, you see, 45 shots against 40 saves against Washington, 25 on 31 shots against Columbus. Very still decent performances for games, which they ultimately did lose. But going into this as well, there are a few moves that were made throughout this game, which is now going to have an interesting look over the next couple of games. And Marco Rossi being the main one, who was banged up, did not get to play in this game, lost a streak of 174, which does suck, and obviously want to have him healthy. Don't play injured at this point. It's way too early in the season to need to play hurt, so It's good that they kept him out. Ultimately, want to see him back as soon as possible, though. But as a result, Hunter Haight's been recalled. Zach Bogosian placed on the IR, which means, of course, that they can bring up Hunter Haight, as they do need to look for another center now, with Ben Jones here being in this lineup. It was more brought up as an instance to a kind of a safety net, but at this point now, this could be an expectation that Rossi is set to miss a little bit of time. Let's hope not too much, but this year, heading into kind of Rossi's game, and I mean, from what we've seen from him, he's been very solid. I mean, starting off early on, being this first-line center, 6 games, 5 points. He's been a big drive and a factor on this top 6, especially on the power play as well. You want to see him back, as we're trying to look for this offense, and having Marco Rossi out of this lineup certainly does not help. Been solid on the defense on this year, 57% Corsi, but as a guy who is a big part of this offense. They wanted to re-sign him. There was a lot of controversy regarding whether a trade or not. He's looking to show that he's trying to get a bigger contract in the next 3 years, as this deal, was set to expire at that point. So you want to see him back, as I mentioned, a big driver for this Wild team going onto this power play and the offense as well. So having Hunter Haight jump into the lineup is not overly a bad thing. But going into this right now, looking at how the lines were structured last game, Ben Jones jumped on with Yakov Trenin and Tyler Pitlick. Marcus Foligno there had Yurov in the middle and Vina Hidenstroza. Interesting line there. I kind of like the idea of Marcus Foligno along with Yurov. A kind of a clashing play style, but works well together with the size of Foligno and his play style of driving the net. You get Yurov a shot, you get a rebound, good opportunities there. Hartman jumping in the middle of Johansson and Tarasenko, which I also think is a pretty good line. You see a lot of effort there. That energy, the lines bring a lot of energy, and of course, having Eriksson Ek jump on that top line as we saw in years past, something that this team luckily is very familiar with. So there are going to be a few interesting things. I'd be curious to see if Ben Jones jumps out of this lineup and you see Hunter Haight come back in. I feel like the Wild, this team, of course, as he was a last cut here in training camp, want to give him the most opportunities possible, and I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for it with Marco Rossi being banged up, and depending on what it is, we still don't necessarily know a timeline at this very moment. Now, with the upcoming games as well, I think there's a lot of options to see. Whether or not they move Yurov up could be an option, I think, between Tarasenko and Johansson. Maybe move Hartman over to the wing, whatever. There's a lot of options, I think, and especially now where you're calling up Hunter Haight to throw in, just the extra center. I'll be curious to see if any movement is made, especially after Danila Yurov getting his first goal and, really having that monkey off his back now after some, extremely high expectations here in the offseason. Let him play his game. I think that will work out very, very well. But continuing on with that as well, kind of get the idea of what it's from. Sarah McClellan here saying that it was from a blocked shot against Philadelphia on Saturday. Still no extent, but, missed last game. Will be interesting to see what is happening next game, if he's back or not. Having Hunter Haight be called up here and just also adds to your practice lines, but also gives them an option to be able to keep Marco Rossi out another game if need be without having to play Ben Jones once again here in this lineup. So let me know what you think about that. I'm curious to see what your guys' opinion on that as well is about Danila Yurov, his first goal. I think the Wild, this set them on a different, kind of pace now. I think it's going to be a good start to the, early, the ending of the beginning of the season, I guess is a good way of putting it, as the Wild now heading into some more games where they want to get this offense going. They have a lot of people that can bring it, and I think this is going to be a good start to it. So let me know what you think about that. But that is all I have in this video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to hit the sub button and give it a like as well if you did enjoy. That's all I got, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.